First of all, I would like to say that in Russia, we see Indonesia as our key partner, not only in Southeast Asia, but in the Asia Pacific as well. We don't like the Indo-Pacific, because actually it's, ASEAN Indo-Pacific is quite different from what the West is promoting. Because Russia cannot have a free trade agreement bilaterally, Russia-Indonesia, because Russia is part of the Eurasian Economic Union. And we started officially the negotiation process in December last year. We had already 2 rounds of negotiations. Part of the agreement has been already settled. So we will have the 3rd round soon on expert level. And last year, actually, we've celebrated 1,100 year of Islam in Russia. So Islam came to Russia a long time before it came to Southeast Asia.
Well, this is very sensitive and a bit tricky question since you are here, because many Indonesians also realize, the problem faced by Russia and Ukraine, and actually both countries share the same ancestor, ruling the roots, just like Indonesia and Malaysia, we are actually 75% of Malaysian originate from Indonesia, but of course, countries in the modern era decided by colonial border. That's why we have Indonesia and Malaysia. Of course, we had conflict, also confrontation before. Now, could you explain from your side, what make the conflicts now? I think we don't know when to end. So how do you assess on this?
Well, first of all, not only we are the same nation basically. Ukrainians and Russians, we're the same, and
Khrushchev originated from Ukraine, right?
That's why he gave Crimea to Ukraine.
That's one thing.
I was born in Kiev, by the way.
Oh, did you?
I'm not Ukrainian, I'm Russian, but I was born there. Yes, my grandparents are buried in Kiev. It's just, I want to show that we are the same. We were part of the same countries, not only during the Soviet times.
The capital of Russia also.
The first capital of Russia was Kiev. Yeah. And Ukraine was always part of Russia. Whatever they say now, they were always part of Russia. They never were an independent state. First time in history, they became an independent state in 1991. And unfortunately for them, and for Russia, of course, immediately they came under the influence of the West, who turned Ukraine into an anti-Russian project. And that's a pity for Ukrainian people, because we are the same. We are the same. And it's this conflict, I may surprise you, but it's not about Ukraine, of course. Ukraine is just an instrument in this confrontation between Russia and the West. If you ask me why is this confrontation, I will tell you, it's quite easy, because we don't agree with what West is doing. We don't agree with the global domination of just one country or one small group of countries. Last week, President Putin delivered a keynote speech in Valdai Forum, which is one of the most important forum that bring together academics and people who study policy.
Was it in Sochi?
It was in Sochi, yeah. Ibu Koni represented Indonesia, and she was a star. Because on our TV you could see. She wore this red outfit, and they were showing her all the time on the Russian, and she gave a brilliant interview to our main news channel. So President Putin said that. And he was very blunt, he said, addressing toward who are you? Why do you have the right to tell the whole world how to live? Why? We don't agree. You do in your countries what you want. Why do you come imposing these things on us, like LGBT or, I don't know, this neo-colonial practices of just, pumping out your natural resources and then selling you overpriced goods produced because of your natural resources. We don't agree with the neo-colonial practices. And if you agree with what they say and what they do, you will be all right, more or less. They will never treat you as equal. They will always consider you as inferior, and they will expect to get your natural resources, the labor, sell you goods. But if you don't agree, they will destroy you economically or militarily.
That was written by George Perkins, yeah?
And that happened already. First was Yugoslavia. Serbia. They bombed Yugoslavia in 1999, killing, they never mention it. NATO, without any consent of the Security Council, UN consent, they bombed Yugoslavia because Yugoslavia became strong and opposed also Western dominance. They destroyed the country. They killed more than 2,000 people. They used bombs with depleted uranium, which are forbidden actually. And until now in Serbia, there's a very high rate of cancer among people because of the consequences of that. Then you remember Iraq, in the false pretense that they have weapons of mass destruction. You remember this white powder? They actually said that it was a hoax. It was not true. Still, they killed around 500,000 civil population in Iraq under this false pretense. And you know how they call it? Collateral damage. These people who were killed, collateral, very cynical actually. Then Libya. Okay, Libya was not a most democratic country, but it was a prosperous country. Very good social security, very good healthcare.
Education free.
Education free. Destroyed.
Same thing happened in Ecuador and Bolivia also.
Then they try Afghanistan, of course. Afghanistan. You know, I love this joke. Someone told it. If you think of yourself as a failure, think about the United States. 20 years in Afghanistan fighting Taliban, and then bring Taliban back to power again. You know, but so many people killed. Again, collateral damage. And then, of course, Syria. But we prevented it from happening. We helped Syrian government. So Syria is still one country. So, you know, when they are saying that Russia is aggressive or China is aggressive, there's only one country in the world that after World War II attacked military 27 or 29 independent countries. Is this Russia? Is it China? United States. But you know, they always say very beautiful words. They are democratic. They bring democracy. So if they bomb someone, it's a very democratic way. Why do they have the right to do that?
Actually, one professor in Indonesia mentioned that U.S. broke the international law 52 times.
Absolutely, and still they're telling everyone that you're not democratic enough. You're not. Why? You know. So they've lost any moral right to do so. So, but it's not only just our wish of Russia that there is no, but it's happening. That's the process that it's going on. Unipolar world that actually was built after the collapse of the Soviet Union is changing because new centers of economic power are rising. China, India, ASEAN, including Indonesia, South Africa, Latin American countries. It's happening. And with the economic development comes also political influence. So the world is changing with the new center of power, new polars coming as actors on the global arena, not just waiting for orders from the big brother, but but wanting to be independent, to have the right to protect our own, everyone's own interest. That's what the West cannot agree, because for centuries they've been used to building their prosperity by looting other countries. You know what happened to Russia, actually? In 1991, when
President Yeltsin,
when President Yeltsin, when Soviet Union disintegrated, we thought in Russia that the West, Europe, United States will treat us as equals, because no more communist ideology, all gone. Some people still think that Russia is a communist country. No.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, President Yeltsin wrote a letter to Secretary of NATO in '91 that Russia would like to join NATO.
Not only Yeltsin, President Putin also, but they never accepted us. They never. But it was after 10 years, it was clear they will never accept us as equals. They don't need a strong Russia. They don't need strong China. They don't need strong Indonesia. They don't need other countries being strong.
And they promised not to extend, NATO's membership.
Coming back to Ukraine, why President Putin took this very hard decision to start the military operation in Ukraine? It was very hard because we are fighting with the same people like us. And it's a tragedy for Ukrainian people, of course. They are victims not of Russia. They are victims of the Western policies that want to use Ukraine. They don't want to confront Russia directly. We are a nuclear power. Yeah, they are not. They don't want to commit suicide. So they just use Ukrainians, and they don't have any pity on Ukraine. We do. That's why we don't actually target civilians in Ukraine. We try to spare civilians.
So there was also a negotiation, I think, on the third week of the conflict, actually, but then cancelled.
Well, let me just a little bit. Why this decision has been taken? Because we were aware that they are preparing a massive attack on Russia in 2022, and in order to prevent it through Ukraine, of course, there was now it's for fact we know that they were preparing a massive attack, and in order to prevent this attack and also to protect the people of Donbass and Crimea also. President Putin started this operation. In all the years in the 90s, we tried to be part of NATO, to cooperate with the European Union. They didn't want that. They didn't want that.
But actually, Russia okay when Ukraine want to join the European Union?
No, we were not okay with that.
Ukraine, no?
No, we were not okay because, again, coming back, because, to understand the reason of this conflict, you need to know history, of course. When, that after World War II, Germany was divided into two. Because Germany was the country that started the war and brought the Nazi ideology, which is a racist ideology, and they considered everyone inferior, Asian, Jewish, Slavic, just Germans were. So Germany was divided into two. One was pro-Western and one was pro-Soviet. Two. Then, when Gorbachev came to power, just before the collapse of the Soviet Union, Gorbachev agreed. And we had our troops in Eastern Germany. Our troops, Soviet troops, were stationed there, and American troops were in Western Germany. So Gorbachev negotiated with the Americans that we will withdraw the troops from Eastern Germany. We agreed that Germany becomes one country. And in exchange, NATO will not expand to our borders. Gorbachev asked for a written agreement. They said, no, you just believe our word. I don't know whether Gorbachev was naive or there were other considerations, but he said, okay. So we withdrew our troops from Eastern Germany. Germany reunited, as you know, in 1989 on the 3rd of October. And NATO expanded. They kept expanding NATO towards our borders. We asked them repeatedly not to do that, to have guarantees of our security, because it's a direct threat to Russia. But the red line for us was Ukraine becoming member of NATO, because we have a 2,000 kilometers border with Ukraine. If NATO infrastructure comes to the border between Russia and Ukraine, 2 minutes and a missile will reach Moscow. How can we look idly on it's a direct threat to the security of Russia. And when President Zelensky announced that they want to become member of NATO, immediately we asked for guarantees from NATO that it will not happen. They never responded. On the negotiations, again, this conflict would have been long over if not for the interference from the West. In April last year, we were on the brink of signing a peace agreement with Ukrainians. We had several rounds of negotiations in Turkey, and it was ready already. It was drafted. Then what happened? Boris Johnson, the then Prime Minister of Great Britain, comes to Kiev. Immediately, Zelensky orders his delegation to walk out of the negotiation. Then Zelensky signs a decree officially banning any possibility to have a peace dialogue with Russia.
Okay.
They walked out of the negotiation because the West is not interested in ending this conflict. That's why they're sending arms to Ukraine. That's why they want to make this conflict last, to make Russia weaker, of course.
Okay, now we open to question and, and answer. I think I have got one sent from kuatbaca.com.
Yeah, please.
I have a question actually. Hollywood is portrayed U.S. as the great hero and their opponent as the evil one. It's always happened. It's always occurred in Hollywood movie, but we know that Russia have a great movie industry, But why Russia not distributed or produced to the movie to counter the Hollywood? And the two question is, I've met Ambassador Faisal before, and he said that there is no communication. Ambassador of Ukraine. There's no communication between Russia and Ukraine. It's vital for me because for the key for conflict resolution is communication in the backside, maybe government to government. But what's your effort to build the communication between them?
I will answer your question, your second question. What's the use of communicating with Ukraine when they are not independent? They are puppets of the West. They do whatever Washington tells them. So, and Zelensky officially banned any possibility of having a peaceful dialogue. When President Jokowi went to Kiev and Moscow, or Paprabovo Subianto came out with the peace plan, we always welcome these efforts, or our Chinese partners also had a peace plan. It's not a lack of peace plans or peace proposals or parties that would like to become mediators. You know the reaction of Ukrainian side to Paprabovo's proposal? No. 5 minutes after he delivered his speech in Singapore, they said, no, we don't agree. So it's what's the use of communicating with the side that doesn't have a word, they are just, they are an instrument. And it's so sad that Ukrainian people, which are our brothers and sisters, are used as victims in a game with other players, because they are not masters of their own country, of their own fate, and it's a tragedy for them. Because this conflict will end sooner or later. That's and we will win, of course. But the psychological trauma will, of course, remain, and it's very sad because all Russians have relatives in Ukraine. All Ukrainians have relatives in Russia, and it's so sad, and it's But if you want to blame someone for this, of course, it's the West. It's a blatant example that they don't have pity for anyone. They will, as we say sometimes in Russia, that they will continue this war until the last Ukrainian, because they don't care. They don't care about Ukrainians, they don't care about Russians. All they care is about their dominance and their prosperity, because their prosperity is based on their dominance. If they don't dominate, they will collapse. That is clear. And all this talks about democracy and human rights is just a facade. What kind of democracy do you see? I will give you an example here, for instance. I'm ambassador of Russia. We have diplomatic relations with all European countries. We don't have diplomatic relations with Ukraine, of course, but with the United States, with the Europeans. You know that European ambassadors, they ignore me completely. They pretend they don't see me, they don't say hello, they don't shake hands. You know why? Because I think so. They are just, they have these instructions from Brussels that they cannot communicate with the Russian ambassador. And if they do, they will be punished. That's democracy. Or for instance, recently I was so surprised. I never knew that. We had a representative from Indonesia who was an expert journalist, who was an expert, and he was witnessing the elections in the new regions of Russia, Donbass area. And he's a journalist. He was doing his job. And he had so many colleagues from Western countries also, some of journalists. For him, no problem. He went back to Indonesia and he reported what he saw. But his colleagues from Europe, they came under sanctions just for doing their job. They were not pro-Russian. They were just looking at what was happening. And they are sanctioned by their own government. Their bank accounts blocked. Social security blocked. What's that? Freedom of speech? Democracy? It just, doesn't enter my head. For me, I can communicate with anyone. I can go say hello to the American ambassador or to European ambassador, but they are scared. They are scared. What kind of democracy is that? And again, as President put it, and these people are teaching us democracy. Come on. So this conflict with Ukraine and also it's not about territory. You look at you see reports from Western media. They say President Putin wants new territories. We're the biggest country in the world. We have so many territory. Siberia, Far East, we lack people to develop these territories. Why do we need more territory? We don't need more territories. We have our own. It's not about territory. It's not about confrontation between nations, Ukrainians and Russians. It's a geopolitical issue. It's because we see this transformation in the world. And it will happen, whatever the West wants, because it's a natural process, I would say.
Okay. Because of the timing, one more question from the student, yeah?
Yeah, on Hollywood, sorry, Hollywood.
Oh, yeah, Hollywood. Yeah.
Yes, we have this industry. Also it's not an easy question, because for so many years we were under illusion that we are part of this European family. We were not, in fact, and we also were made to believe that we are inferior, that what they do is better. Now we understand it's not the case. It's what they actually, it was propaganda from the West. And also they don't allow, they don't allow, for instance, they don't allow our media to work in Europe, in the United States, or any other country, because they don't want people to have access to alternative information. So it's not, and they're strong. Who can deny? They're strong. Yeah, the United States is still the strongest country. Though of course what is happening there, it's so far from democracy. And
I think you need to explore more Masha and the bear. Yeah,
yeah. Masha and the bear. Yeah, Masha and the bear. Yeah, of course. So actually.
My granddaughter, when she had birthday, I said, "What do you want?" She wanted to have, a doll, Masha, and not easy to find.
Yeah, my daughter name is Masha, also. And she's exactly like that. Yeah. When she was small. Yeah, now she's grown up, but she was exactly like that. Yeah. Actually, we have some very good movies, and we're planning to do some here in universities to show these movies. Yeah. We've already shown one at the Universitas Indonesia.
Right,
yes, okay. And we will do more.
Promise. Okay. Now from the student.
Okay, maybe I will ask one question. Before you always talk about friendship, great friendship between Russia and Indonesia. And I know that Russia have a concept or principle that peacefully coexistence. But in people in Indonesia or people in the world sees that Russia as an aggressor country. So, what do you think about it?
Well, I think already, in a sense, I mentioned that you have to know the facts, because the facts, people are under influence of Western media. And the West is blocking any access to alternative, but information coming from other parts. If you know the facts, as I mentioned, that the United States, bahwa he mentioned, actually attacked around 30 countries after World War II, that violated international law for more than 50 times, 52 times, So then you will see the truth, because people when they look at the picture in the TV, they don't just they don't analyze. But if you think about it, like I'll just shortly, I'll give you an example. There was a lot of noise in the Western media on Russia using chemical weapons. Actually, we don't have any chemical weapons. We've already destroyed them all. You remember this case in Great Britain when allegedly we used chemical weapons against 2 Russians. It's so absurd. Because Novichok, you remember the Novichok was this chemical, chemical agent that allegedly was used. That is a weapon of mass destruction, because chemical weapons are not used to kill, say, one person. It's if say it was true, all the people in this area would have died. God forbid. You just have to think about it. And okay, maybe, our Russia is portrayed as evil always, but we're not stupid. Why do we do that? It's absurd, absolutely. There's, I don't want to say that it's true, but if they wanted to kill, well, say our secret services wanted to kill someone, and it's not true, of course. Why would they have used Novichok? It's just absurd. If they wanted to make it known to the whole world, but this kind of things, I presume, I don't know. it should have been done secretly. Yeah, so it's all absurd. But they tell you, they just give this picture, give this picture, give this picture, and people just, okay, Russians are bad, or they were just at the beginning of the conflict in Ukraine, and there was this incident in Bucha near Kiev that allegedly Russians have killed a lot of people there. Again, not true. Not true. It was all staged. And even on some of the videos, all this, there were bodies lying down after the shooting, the bodies just stood up and went away. So it was all staged. It's not true. No evidence was ever found or given by the Western media. But the propaganda, they always say Kremlin propaganda, but Western propaganda is just terrible. It's just terrible. Because for some time, I don't watch CNN or BBC anymore. It's all, 90% are lies.
But on the other side, Russia Today is blocked in European Union.
Absolutely. Russia Today is blocked. Yes. And in a very democratic way. It's freedom of speech. A very good example of freedom. Yes, they have the right because they're very democratic.
Okay, we are coming to an end of our story. Completing your job as ambassador in Indonesia for more than 5 years. I think there are many things that you have some impression about the country, and what do you expect in the future of the Russian-Indonesian relations?
Well, I'm sure that our relations will be getting stronger, and I hope that even from Moscow I can contribute to strengthening.
Because you're still doing the same.
Strengthening our bilateral relations. And when I'll be in Moscow, I will tell everyone that Indonesia is a wonderful country. The people are so friendly, so nice. I would like to quote someone I know who said that Indonesia is a country of angels. People are very, very nice, of course, and the nature is so beautiful wherever you go. I have mixed feelings going back to Moscow. Of course, I want to go back. I love my country, but I will be very sad leaving Indonesia.
With your new job, I think it's also opportunity for you to come back to Indonesia on.
I hope so.
On official basis.
Well, I can tell you, I'm leaving, but part of my heart will stay in Indonesia.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our program today. I just want to tell you the truth that Ambassador Ludmila is actually the only lady ambassador and posted in Indonesia. When I asked Vice Minister Margulov, he said, "Well, we know that Indonesian foreign minister lady, so we send lady to ambassador to Indonesia."
Now there are two of us. Another in
Bulgaria, right?
Bulgaria.
Okay. Pemirsa Diplomatic Club, sampailah pada akhir dari program Diplomatic Club yang diorganize oleh kuatbaca.com. Itulah tadi perbincangan saya dengan Bu Dubes Ludmila yang saya kenal baik karena saya datang ke Moskow. Beliau adalah seorang dirjen yang menangani masalah ASEAN termasuk Indonesia. Kita banyak bekerja sama di sana dan juga selama beliau di Jakarta juga menjadi counterpart saya. Saya ucapkan terima kasih. I would like to thank you very much for your time. I know you were busy coming to the end of your job, but it's a great honor for you to be here. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.